Hello, I'm Reverend Paul Gaspar, and for over 30 years, I've been helping people with life and living challenges. And today, we're going to part two of suicide and related things with suicide. And we have a couple of ladies in here tonight. They're going to ask questions, and I'm going to answer them. And hopefully, this will be of benefit to you and the people you know.
Okay. Further to the discussion that we had earlier about suicide, if you were to meet somebody, would you be able to see the signs in that person that they may be contemplating suicide? And if so, what are the signs within someone who is thinking about doing that?
Okay, we'll take the first part of your question first because it very much relates to the video we did earlier. If we're sharing, our hearts are going to be more open to other people, which means we're going to be more sensitive. The reason why they have a saying called suicide guilt is because the people that are left behind feel so guilty that they didn't do something. Well, the reason mostly is their heart wasn't open. They weren't sensitive to this person, so they couldn't see the signs, right? So it's like street lights. They have walk and don't walk. Well, why do people get hit by cars? Because they're not looking. They just walk anyway, and then what happens? And it's the same with this. Now, a lot of people, like teenagers, their eating habits will change. Their sleeping habits will change. Their attitude changes. They want to be in their room. They want to be left alone all the time. Now, these things all don't add up to suicide, but there's something very wrong with that person. Why? Because we should see value in each other. It should be joyful to be with others. Why would you want to be alone in your room with the door shut and the blinds drawn? What are we escaping from? Who could be happy there? Who could enjoy that? And when people say they enjoy it, they're
So what you're saying is that people tend to isolate?
yes,
Is that one of the things
yes.
that they
Drugs,
they go
same thing.
into
Escape,
themselves?
escape, yes. Self. Just remember, and see, this is how we get off topic because everything is connected. Selfishness is all about self. What I want, me. God is all about you. Love is not about me. Love is about you, right? Caring, what is love? The number one thing I tell people, love is caring about other people's cares. That's what love is. So if you are pushing away the people God put in your life, you're pushing love away. You're pushing God away. That's why earlier when we were discussing, it wasn't on video, is that you can prove real easy. Most people don't believe in God. Why? Because they don't believe in love. God is love. Yes.
Well, I have a question. One of my cousin's friend, who was a friend of childhood, he, very immature. They were drinking and doing other stuff, and apparently one day he hung himself in his room.
Mm.
And then I'm like,
Boy.
how did they not realize it? But then again, when they're hanging out, they're not sober. So, but then I'm like, obviously, if he's drinking and partying too much, there's something wrong there. So how do you, how do you, what to do in a situation like that?
Well, there's nothing wrong with drinking alcohol. Nothing at all. Matter of fact, maybe for most people, one or two drinks, but how many people have one or two? Because alcohol at first is a stimulant and then it's a depressant. So if you're depressed, if you're unhappy already, getting high and getting drunk is, it may seem temporarily good, but it's really bad. And it's going to hurt you and you're going to hurt someone else. There's no question about it. And of course, when you do it and you do it in front of other people, you're telling them, hey, this is okay. Most people lie about it. It's like going to the track, eh? Oh, I won all this money at the track. Yeah. And they had to remortgage their house and they lost their car. And I guess they weren't winning as much as they said. Racetracks and bars, they're not built for you to save money. They're created for you to spend money. It's like casinos. How many people have told us, "Oh, I won so much money in Las Vegas." Yeah, that's why Las Vegas is doing so well, because you won so much. That's not true. It's there to take your money. And if you're having fun doing that instead of having fun with the people God put in your life, you'd have to think there's something very wrong with that. Not that there's anything wrong with a little gambling, if you really do control it. But most people, it controls them. And that's where the problem comes in. But once you start to share, and you take anybody in your life, your grandmother, your aunt, your uncle, that cares for you, and you have some caring for them, you go out and you spend an evening with them just sharing. I guarantee you it'll be the best night you've ever had. Why? Because that's the way God made it. You'll be sharing yourself with them, and they'll be sharing their self with you. And that is the spiritual. That is what God intended it for us to do. Why? Because we're valuable. God made us. Didn't that joke, he didn't make junk? So think about it. If you're sharing with someone that you care about, that's great. I share with people I never met before, maybe never meet again, and have the time of my life. Why? Because that's happened over time, and I've never shared with anybody that didn't turn into loving them. That's just the way that it is. Why? Because that's the way God made it. So if you don't like somebody, invite them out for breakfast and share it with them. I guarantee you that breakfast, you're going to feel a lot better about them. By the second breakfast, you're going to enjoy them, because God didn't make junk. Usually we don't like people is because we judge them, or they said something and we were closed. Our heart was closed. We were into ourselves and we resented them for it. We held it against them. Get back to forgiving, right? Accepting, loving. Because when you love someone, it's easier to forgive them. If you care about someone, it's easy to accept them. And those are the keys to life: acceptance, forgiveness, and love. That's on the one side of the column. The other side is selfishness, mean and cruel, and evil. Because selfishness, and we all have some selfishness, but if we let it grow, we will become mean, we will become cruel, and then we will become evil. And we've all either met them or seen them. So I know I got off topic again, didn't I?
No, I think you make sense.
Okay. All right. At the bottom of the screen, there are going to be links if you need to contact
Our social media.
social
For you guys to
media.
follow us.
You can follow us there. All right. Thank you for listening. And please, I said,